Hey, good morning.
Good evening.
Good evening for you. That's correct. Kerry, thank you for joining. How have
You're
you
welcome.
been?
Yeah, pretty good. Busy, like everybody, I suppose.
Nice, nice. Thank you for joining. And I know we are 14 and a half hours apart. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are. So it's 9:30 p.m. where I am right now.
6:48 a.m. here. So I had to wake up early
Nice.
today. Good. Well, thank you for joining again. Let's go over the topics that we have. We have really good topics here to chat about. So let me see if I can find the reference real quick and we can go from there. Yeah, today we're going to talk about the custom visuals in Power BI. I know you love Power BI like most of us, and you love also data visualization, which is huge in Power BI. And
Hmm.
as a fun fact, I've been following your posts for a while, and one caught my attention. It was related to the new car visual, and you had a
Ah,
really nice tip. And then I used that tip as a reference to create one of my tutorials. So thank you for sharing that again.
you're welcome.
And that's why I decided to reach out to you, and I'm very thankful that you accepted. So thank you for that. And now let's chat more about the custom visuals in Power BI. How about that?
Sure, we'll do that.
Awesome. But before we go over the details, why don't you tell us more about yourself, what you do, what you're passionate about, and whatever you want to share with us and with everyone here.
Yeah, so Kerry Kolosko, and I'm a data visualization consultant in Adelaide, South Australia. Um, and began my sort of business intelligence journey quite a few years ago now, actually. Time has been rushing past, I swear. Um, but yeah, back in 2017 is when I sort of started my business intelligence journey, and it's just rushed past since then. I've sort of started dabbling in Power BI back then, and still continuing to do so. But what I've done is through that time is delved more and more into the data visualization space and delving more into other tool sets as well, and learning more about data visualization a little bit more deeply, sort of understanding more the cognitive psychology side of the piece, and learning in that area as well.
And how did you get into data visualization? Because we have many options, right? If we go over Power BI, we have data modeling, we have programming that, the DAX program that we have for Power BI. We also have data visualization itself and other also features that we have in Power BI. Why did you decide to go with data visualization?
I guess I've always come from that reporting and communication, visual communication background. I guess that was always my focus in my work, is making sure that I was taking complex topics and communicating them down in succinct ways for executive audiences. And I was always involved in the communication piece, and so it was sort of more of a translation from verbal communication into visual communication, because visual communication, you can take even bigger messages and more complex messages and convey them in much simpler and easier to consume ways. So I guess that, and my background, my educational background also in psychology, I took a very big interest
Mm,
in the cognitive psychology and perception at university. So I guess that also sort of influenced my interest area in that respect.
I see that. So there is a lot of psychology involved behind, our brains to
Mm,
process data. I see what
mm.
you're saying. And then you got the MVP award. Did you say back in 2020, 2021? I don't remember exactly.
December 2021, I think.
2021. How do you feel
Yeah. How
about
do I?
your first award? Yeah, yeah.
Um, a little surprised, I suppose. That's how I felt. I guess I wasn't really expecting it, and it was never something that was on my radar.
Hmm.
Um, I had someone offer to nominate me, and I'm like, sure, I guess I'll give it a go. And yeah, that's just where I landed, I guess.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
So now let's go over the other topic that we have here. So what motivates you to create content? We have a lot of content. I've been exploring your website, and my goodness, you have a lot of content over there. So what drives you to create more content?
Um, it's definitely so my blog is a little bit different, I suppose, than some of the blogs that I've been across and read. It's not designed
Mhm.
necessarily to teach other people things. It's more to, and initially started just for myself. It was more like a journal. And the reason it's called Explorations in Data Storytelling is because it was me sort of blogging and about myself and my own discovery of data visualization. So, but now my content's sort of changing more to just sort of inspire others in data visualization. And I'd love to go back to that self discovery that I was doing before. I have quite a few blogs and drafts that I haven't completed yet. That's more about that. So sort of going into this discovery of visual thinking versus verbal thinking and things like that. One day I will get back to it. What was your original question?
So what drives you to create more content? Because I've seen
What
a lot
drives me
of
to create?
more
Yeah,
content.
and I
Yeah.
guess yeah, it's also just dabbling. So when I see something that's interesting or new or a new feature and I want to try it out and test it out and see what I can do with it, that's what inspires me to create content. So, new card visuals or, looking at new features that come out. I'm going to, in the data visualization space in Power BI, I'm going to go in
Mhm.
and play around with it and see what I can do with it and sort of stretch the imagination a bit.
What do you think are the a couple of traits that every Power BI developer or every Power BI creator should have to be successful in Power BI based on your experience? Like, hey, this
Traits.
this person should have these two traits to be successful in Power BI as a Power BI report
Ah,
creator.
do you know that's a difficult question because there's a lot of different skills and different roles
Hmm.
that people might go and use Power BI for. So it depends how you're intending to use the tool. Um,
Hmm.
I don't think I can really classify success. I mean, I can maybe talk about particular personality types that might,
Hmm.
get involved in using Power BI, but
You mentioned curiosity
mm,
because you said you have to be curious to go over the topics and also play with it, play with the features, the new features, for example, and then let's start creating something.
yeah, it's definitely you do need to have a creative mindset, and I don't mean creative artistically.
Hmm.
You've got to be a good problem solver and sort of think about how to use the tool if it's not working how you expect it in certain creative ways, right?
Hmm.
And you do need to be a creative individual to get the most out of the tool, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with that.
Mm.
Well, awesome. So now let's move on to the next one. And I'm pretty sure people will be very, very excited about this piece. So let's talk about custom visuals in Power BI. Why don't we start with KPIs? I know we have the popular DNAB. How do you pronounce that? DNAB templates.
Dinner, that's how I pronounce it. I don't think there's a specific way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's chat more about the KPIs specifically for the DNAB templates KPI card. So how powerful they are and when do we use them? Based on your experience, what do we need to know about KPIs for those templates? Or anything that you would like to share about those templates. I know KPIs are quite popular, right?
They are
So
very, very popular.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, definitely KPI is a massive topic, and they're the ones that drive the most. What's the word I'm looking for? Views
yes, yeah.
in terms of content. So KPIs are at least 3 times more viewed blogs and videos than other Power BI topics. That's for sure. So there's a big desire to create nice and meaningful KPIs. And so I guess that's where I started with Deneb, because at the time, this would be July in 2021. There wasn't really an awful lot out there in terms of variety and creating your own KPIs. And one of the big quandaries that people had is they were layering lots and lots of visuals on top of each other to try and achieve the information and the context they needed for their executives and report consumers and the like. And so with the introduction of Deneb to AppSource, it was a custom visual that was highly flexible. And what I found when I went to look at, so Deneb uses Vega and Vega Lite declarative sort of language, which is kind of written with JSON. And I went and explored that custom visual, and with the Vega and Vega Lite, they have their own sort of examples and template galleries, and it's more of a so Vega Lite's more of a visual analysis grammar, so it was more sort of focused on your statistical kind of data exploratory visuals and less so on KPIs. But I thought, you know what? There's no examples here of KPI examples. Maybe I can create some and see how I go with that. So that's where I sort of started to explore what I could do with that, with the visual and the Vega Lite language, and started to fiddle around and sort of create some KPI cards within that. As far as I know, I couldn't see any other examples on the internet of other people sort of having done the same with that medium. Yeah, so then I sort of shared those on Twitter. Hey, look, you can create your own custom KPI cards, and also they're actually really performant. More performant than the KPI cards that were in Power BI, provided you didn't overdo the DAX, which sometimes I did. So, you didn't overload the page and create really complex queries, which, can slow it down. Yeah, and that actually really took off, very surprisingly. They weren't something I put a lot of thought and attention to. It's just something that I sort of whipped up, and to me, they weren't the best KPIs because they didn't even have titles or anything on them. They're just something I threw together as an example. Hey, look, this is something that I've explored and it was kind of cool. Yeah, and it gathered a lot of attention and quite a bit of excitement from there.
Yeah, so the native visuals in Power BI are very limited as well, right? And that's why,
They were at the time. Yeah, they're
yeah,
slowly coming up to pace. Yeah.
exactly. Let me see if I can share the screen here for those who don't know where they can find your content. So this is the website, kerrykolosko.com. So let me know if you can see it. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah, so these are the popular Deneb templates that we're talking about. For those who don't know, you might want to explore this website. There's plenty of content here, like I said before. And the cool thing is, for every single visual, we have the piece of code that we can play with. And I think I was talking about these KPI card visuals.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
subsection of the.
and this is the JSON file. What is your advice for those who are not familiar with this type of language? Because I've heard that people get overwhelmed when they see the code and say, "Whoa, what is this?" So, what is your advice for those who are totally new to learn this language?
Definitely, I guess the only advice I can give is to start where I started,
Hmm.
um, which would be to read the Vega and Vega Lite documentation and work your way through the examples there. So each example on the Vega and Vega Lite site, you can open up in a query editor, and then you can just start playing around. So you can start playing
Hmm.
with the figures and the encodings and adding your own things, and then you start getting used to the structure.
Hmm.
And then the more that you do, the more you sort of remember and familiarize yourself with what options there are. There's also quite a few tutorials coming out there on YouTube now. So Ben Ferry, Power BI guy, has done some wonderful introduction videos to get people sort of started with the concept.
Right. So now let's move on to the next one we have here. So we chat about the NEP templates. How about the SVG templates? Those are also really good ones.
Yeah, so the SVG templates came a little bit later, but my exploration in sort of doing custom visualizations in Power BI started with SVG. And I guess I started creating the SVG templates when Matrix Visual started allowed a change in the width and height. So it used to be that the Matrix Visual and Power BI would only display SVGs in sort of a square format, which wasn't particularly very, very useful. Didn't have, a lot of practical application. My exploration with SVG actually started with the HTML content visual when a new content visual by Daniel Marsh-Patrick came out that replaced an old one, but his visual added measure support, which made the visual much more versatile. So then I was thinking, oh, great, measure support. So what can I do with this? And I started sort of exploring sort of data-driven SVGs and trying to sort of see different ways, out of the box ways of displaying data and doing data-driven SVGs with that. So I kind of went on quite a bit of a path with that. But in thinking about KPI cards, I had a particular client that had like over 130 KPI visuals on a page. The report was ridiculously slow. The report was only designed for print. It wasn't designed for interactivity or data exploration or anything. It was purely for print. So one of the things I decided to do was to remove all those visuals because it just wasn't really loading particularly well, and just create SVGs in the matrix. And because the KPI visuals were square, that was fine to do. And so that's when the sort of the idea of creating the templates for SVGs came around. From that point as well.
Yeah, you mentioned something really interesting here, which is performance. So how much better they are compared to the traditional visuals in terms of performance?
A ton. So less than a second the page would render with the SVGs compared to, I think it was over 11 seconds for the other one. So that's quite a difference.
Performance is key, right? I mean, people who work in this industry, they are dealing with a lot of visuals, a lot of reports, and also they have a lot of tasks that they have to achieve. So time is limited. So they want to see results quickly. And then that's why performance is key. And for those who want to explore SVG templates, this is the website. And you guys can play with these templates as well. And this is the one that we talk about at the beginning, the one that caught my attention. The
Yes.
the gradient area sparkline with last point. So this is a good one. And it was just a matter of playing with the code, updating the measures, and also I changed the colors from, I believe it was from white to black or gray. So you can make any changes, right? Because this is just a
Yeah,
template.
exactly.
So this was very helpful. Any additional comments or pieces of advice that you might have about how to use these visuals?
I guess there's a lot of resources out there. So I began with David Eldersfield, who wrote some blogs, I think they're 2017, 2018, on using SVGs. So some of these templates are actually derived from some of his base code, the sparklines particularly. I think the
Mm-hmm.
rest I've kind of developed mostly myself. The pie chart was derived from Tom Martin's as well. So David Eldersveld and Laura Graham Brown did a fair bit as well on SVG, and she's got quite a number of tutorials as well in terms of creating what she did. I think she created a lot of the infographic, the partial fill, things like that as well.
Lollipop Sparkline. This is the latest one that you have right here. Seems like it's not too complicated, right? To adapt this. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's not particularly complicated. So that's 3 layered elements, lines, points, and then an open point as well.
Yeah, and this is basically a measure, right?
Correct.
Okay,
So it's a DAX measure.
it's a DAX measure. Yeah, 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 yeah. Awesome.
So there's a lot of fun things that you can do with SVG. You can get really quite creative. So some of the things I did in my early exploration was to create a Donald Trump nose, which grew the more lies that he told.
Oh, really? Do you have it?
Yeah. And then there's other things that we can do with SVG. There's a custom visual called PureViz as well. So those that do want to play with SVG but want to break it down a little bit and make it easy to use using UE can use that as well. So a number of things I've done here is gone through, this is a game I created with HTML content visual using SVG where the dice are animated. And then the results are also animated. Polygons are played with as well. So creating a turbine that is really quite unusual.
Yeah.
And it expands at different points. I've also used here like things like pattern fill was my first exploration of pattern fill. Creating a clock with hands that rotate and then using SVG as custom icons in the matrix visual as well. And then this is the one. So I was a little bit hesitant actually doing this one. I was quite scared of getting some backlash when I posted it, but you know what, it's kind of a heap of fun. So if we have a little, but as we go through the time, these are all the lies that have been told.
Oh. Yeah, it's interesting. So it's on your website as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, people can go to your website and explore what you have there. Like I said before, there's plenty of content there, so they will enjoy it. Awesome. So let's see what else we have here. Yeah, let's talk about the Plotly GS templates. So there is one that caught my attention, which is the population pyramid.
Mm.
Yes, and let me see if I can share the screen here so we can start the conversation from there. So we have three here, and this is the one that caught my attention. Yeah, so what is the secret to work on these type of visuals?
Secret. Hey, lots of Googling is always the secret. Plotly JS has been around for a while. The wonderful thing about that is that, like you've got with Vega and Vega Lite, they have their sort of online Vega editor. Plotly JS have this chart builder tool, which is available online. Let me see if I can find that for you.
Okay.
So it's a graphing library like Vega and Vega Lite built on top of D3, and it comes with various chart types. And with these, you can also sort of create your own. So Plotly, say for example, has a number of different type things we can build. And again, like Vega and Vega Lite, you sort of kind of build on a grammar of graphics style where you can layer different marks or glyphs on top of each other to sort of build up your graphs. I don't know if I can find it here. If I can open up the that's the dash chart builder. See if I can find the chart builder. Chart Studio. And so within the Chart Studio, you can sort of import your own data or use an example. And then you can sort of build your own sort of things by, adding traces. So here's a scatter, for example. What you might want to do is change it to a different type of trace. You might want to add a line. But there's various different things that is available here. So within Power BI, there's also a custom visual, the Plotly.js, which basically is bringing this into Power BI for us. So with that, what you do is as you're building with the interface, but just like Deneb, you're creating a JSON underneath. This is a tree. You can't really quite see it in the same sort of format. And then what you can do then is build with your user interface, but then use that JSON if you needed to tweak or add a few more things that, are at a deeper level. And then with that JSON, you can also then create templates. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did with the templates on that website. So it's reusing the JSON into this that you can then import across tools as well.
Yeah. What was the website again for that one?
This is Chart Studio.
Yeah, if you can drop the website, that would be awesome. Chart Studio. Okay. Awesome. This is helpful. So no excuses, guys. There is a lot of free sources there to start playing with these visuals. And then let's move on a quick demo. If you have something to share with us, so that would be very helpful as well.
No worries. So to use these templates is fairly straightforward in terms of copying the code over. To create some of these Deneb templates, for example, we can click on the Deneb templates. So perhaps I want a bar chart in here, in which case I can then copy. Again, we need to save this as a JSON template. So we can open up a notepad. We want to paste into a notepad. And then we want to change the format from the text here to all files, and then make sure we're saving as a JSON with the JSON extension. And we hit save because we're trying to save a JSON template. Yes, I do want to replace it. And in our Power BI file, we've got our sample data. So this is just using the financial sample data that comes at the beginning of the load screen. And we're going to go get more visuals. Search for Deneb. So Deneb is certified, so we can have quite a bit of confidence and trust in the visual. And sharing screen is always slow. And then we'll put our data into the fields well here. So I'm probably going to go country, and I reckon sales might be all that I need. Edit the template. So and so here we've got a number of options. So we can start with an empty template and start writing our own code, or we can use some pre-built templates, or we can import from a template, which is what we're going to do. So we're going to select the JSON template that we just created, which I saved in here, and I don't remember what I called it, bar purple. And then for our category, we'll place country, and for our measure, we're going to place sum of sales and create. And here is our template. So this is our specification. So we can come here and read what's in the file. If we wanted to change the color, for example, we can see that we've got an encoding of color and we've got a scale range. So normally the color will just be a single value, but for this particular template, there's a range. So I can change the colors here if I wanted to, and perhaps put using CSS colors. I might put blue for the bottom, and I might put pink for the top, and hit play. And you'll see that I've created a color scale like so. And then I can hit back to report and
Boom. Good to call,
boom.
right?
Yeah.
That's
So there's
awesome.
lots of things we can do with these templates once you sort of start to understand what those options are. So I've got height of step 35. If I change that to 50, for example, the bars become bigger. And yeah, there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, this is cool. This is cool. So, and then the custom visual that you imported into Power BI. So that's a free visual, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Cool.
created by another MVP, Daniel Marsh-Patrick. I recommend going along and buying him a coffee and checking out his
Mm,
websites as well. So he's got a
yeah.
lot of blogs on the thing. He's got a list of community resources where you can go to learn more about the visual. So definitely check that out.
Yeah. This is definitely very helpful. So it gives the reports a better perspective, something different, right?
Hmm, for
Definitely.
sure.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk about your projects. Do you have anything to share with us today?
I'm slightly embarrassed by my shop.
No, it's a good one. Tell us more about your shop.
My shop was something that came about from boredom. I think a lot of things from my blog have come around from twiddling my thumbs and experimenting and, a little bit of aspect of being bored with my work, particularly around with the things that I've created like DAX games and things. It's sort of been a bit of fun. Tongue in cheek. I've done a lot of tongue in cheek type things, and I guess these sort of t-shirt designs were a part of that, and it kind of evolved. Um, as I do, I can get a little bit carried away. These are sort of, I guess, DAX puns. I think a lot of us Power BI developers do enjoy a few geeky DAX puns here and there. And so this is me sort of playing those out visually. So I've got quite a number of things on my shop played out. I think I'm up to over 20 designs, and it's kind of fun. I've done an awful lot more than that now. The tartan is my favorite though. So I can't wait to grab my hands on those tartan leggings. So they're the Power BI and sort of fabric colors I've blended together with a bit of blue, which is sort of a hint at the Azure and Synapse colors as well. Goodness knows, I'm such a dork.
Love this one
I-
right here.
Which
Shut
one's
up
that
and
one?
Dax.
Shut
Dax
up
with
and
me.
Dax with me. Yes,
Yeah, that's a good one.
it's a play at a song with the Shut Up and Dance with Me song. So it's a Shut Up
Mm,
and Dax with Me song as well.
cool.
So yeah, if you hit on the View store, I don't know where that takes you.
Let's see.
Oh yeah,
Dax the night away.
yeah.
That's awesome. And
I
people
like
can
the
order from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely can. I like the
Okay.
PBIX hat. Hit on the PBIX hat.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Such a dog. There we go. That's probably one of my favorite
that's a
ones.
good one. Nice. PVIX. Awesome. This is cool. Cool stuff.
I'm glad you think it's cool.
For those who want to support your work, this is the opportunity that they have. Really good stuff here.
Thank you.
Really good stuff.
Thank you. I had fun making it.
No, I love them. Definitely. Anything else
Uh,
that you have in mind to share with us, Kerry? It has been fun.
Thank you. I guess I don't really know, except for I think it's good to sort of explore and play. And I think I find that's probably one of the best things to learn and to make sure that you're having fun as you're doing it and as you learn, because, work hard, play hard.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Practice, practice, practice. Practice
Mm,
makes perfect,
yeah,
right?
then have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm. And start creating your designs like you did. Yes. Well, Carrie, thank you very much for your time. I would love to have you in the future. Like I said, you
Thank you.
have really good content. For
Thank you.
those who want to support your work, really good designs, go over their website, buy some stuff right there. Thank you. Thank you, Carrie.
No worries.
Take care.